Good afternoon, friends. My name is Suzanne McAllister with the Post-Animal Use World, or PAUW Project, and Vegan Spirituality Group of Philadelphia, and I am here with PAUW co-founder and Piotrowski, who also has conversations with the Friendly Vegan. And I am really interested to chat with Anne, which we do all the time anyway, but this is going to be a specific conversation. So in the newsletter the PAUW newsletter that is about to be published, and we'll put a link to it in the description below, I wrote an essay about an experience I had recently in talking to a good friend of mine who is consistently supportive and admiring of my veganism. She is not vegan, and there aren't that many people in my life who are not vegan who are so consistently admiring is really the best word I can use. She talks about how disciplined she thinks I am and how I walk the walk. I don't just talk the talk. And anyway, she said this to me many times over the years that I've known her. And the other day when we were talking, I said, well, why aren't you vegan? And she said, I'm lazy. And what really struck me was that I'm going to say 5 years ago, I had a conversation with another dear friend. In fact, it's a friend who I recorded the interview with her. And same thing, always admiring, you're so principled, I love what you do, blah, blah, blah. Not vegan. And, but I'm not vegan. Why? I'm lazy. Well, it just didn't make any sense to me. I thought, I could see if somebody said, oh, it feels, and maybe this is what they're saying, is it feels like too much work. But anyway, the reason I wanted to write about it was the fact that 5 years apart, the two people in my life who are not vegan, who are most supportive and talk about it, both said the same thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, I wrote the essay, and who we edit each other's work. So I sent it to her. She read it and she said, I really want to talk about this essay that you just wrote. So
Yeah.
take it away, Anne.
Okay. Yeah, I was just I love thinking about, as you know, and something we've helped people with is just trying to navigate us being vegan, interacting with largely non-vegan, friends, family, strangers,
Yeah.
And then how do we approach that? Do we advocate? Do we just listen? Do we push back? Do we hold back? And it can be hard to know and very tricky. So I will say that like as I kind of say that some of the thoughts that I've had, it's less personal because I don't know these friends. I've probably met them, but I don't know them. So I'm really speaking more generally. I'm using that as kind of a jumping off point and then speaking more generally about what could this mean. I'm going to ask you a question that came up for me is when I was thinking of if this were my friend, how could I respond? I'm going to venture a guess that these friends, you don't experience them as being particularly lazy people.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Neither of them are
Yeah.
lazy.
I
No,
bet they're quite the opposite. That's
they're
why,
both.
knowing you, I just have a feeling that the people you're really good friends with, they're
Yeah.
probably go-getters, like people who are
Well,
very active.
they're accomplished,
Yeah,
and one of them is older, and so she certainly slowed down in her life,
yeah,
but no, she's involved in all kinds of civil rights things, social justice.
yeah,
She's out protesting. So no, these are
yeah,
not people who are sitting and just clicking the what do you call the
Remote,
remote.
like just
That's
couch.
not what she's doing. Yeah.
Okay, so then like, okay, so that's a way to go, right? It could be like, well, I don't know you that way, so what do you mean lazy? I don't know you to be a lazy person. What do you, and I start, so it's almost like, well, wait a minute, you're not saying that like you're a lazier person in general than I am. I don't think that's, I don't think so. Kind of a little bit of loving, gentle pushback on the truthfulness, and what that made me think about is that a lot of times in all the tables we've done and all the people we've talked to and the tables that we've done, a lot of times what I'm trying to do is not debate the person with what they're saying. If they say that they're lazy, then whatever. At their word, they know themselves better than I know them. I'm trying to get them to debate themselves.
That's a great point.
Yeah. So I'm really
Yes.
trying to question and put back with care and love and, even if it's somebody I don't know, there's some affection for the fact that they're willing to talk to me. Um, and it's just pushback to see if they can start to it is saying to you, I really admire what you do, but I can't do it. Then I feel like there's almost like that metaphor of the angel and the devil on the shoulders, and
Mm,
they already have this little bit of internal conflict. That my role as an advocate, the way I see it, is to poke that and make it come alive so that they can dig themselves instead of me digging. Now, if it now
can I
putting
jump in and just say something?
yeah,
Because what you just said really struck me, which is the fact that they are the people who are saying this to me. Like I said, I have lots of friends who are not vegan. They
yeah,
are the only two who consistently praise me, and
yeah,
they both said the same thing, which
yeah,
was to me so unusual. And it indicated to me they are not comfortable
right,
with their not being vegan
right,
because I don't bring it up, they
right,
bring it up.
right. It's that has, and we've said before many, many, many times over the years. I'm like, I hardly ever bring it up. Like it's
I
just
don't.
it
No,
comes.
they're my good friends. They know I am, and there's nothing really to talk about. I mean, if they want to talk about it, I will, but I don't need to talk about it.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah. So I meant to say this because I wrote it down when you were doing the intro, and that is that one, I love that you asked, then why aren't you vegan then? Like that's I love that you asked that. And then I thought about them, and it's almost like they're talking about emulating Gandhi or something. Like, oh, I really admire what Gandhi did, but I can't be Gandhi. And like what I would want to say to a friend, I'm like, it's not like I'm Gandhi. Like it's not like you can
Yeah,
do this. You could like, so it got me thinking that way. So there's a little bit of levity and a little bit of like, wait a minute. Like,
right.
so I thought about that. But then I started to think a little bit more deeply about it because the truth is that the logistics of being vegan, where the grocery shopping, and this you mentioned in your essay, the dining out, and even the nutrition, which there is a learning curve, but all of that
Hmm.
is I really think it's absurdly easy. Easy. Like that stuff is very easy. Once you get over a little bit of a learning curve,
Hmm.
that's easy. But going vegan is not. And here's why I think it is not. I think that in order to change, a big change, the pain of not changing has to be greater
Hmm.
than pain of change of changing. So when I decided to go vegan, and a lot of people who I've talked to who are vegan, I think we all understand on some level that experiencing pain is important because when I decided finally to go vegan, it was because I fully accepted, I fully acknowledged that I had been contributing to enormous and horrific pain and suffering for
Hmm.
my whole life. And to acknowledge that pain and suffering, to see that I was a part of it, was so it's so hard. It was so painful that there wasn't an option but to change. You know,
Yes,
I didn't feel like there was an option but to change.
I,
But I
I'm,
had to let
that's,
that,
I guess maybe that's why. the comments were perplexing to me because once I knew what was going on in factory farms and how animals were raised for food, like you just said, I there was no question about what I had to do. So it had nothing to do with, I didn't even think, is this going to be hard? It was more like, I'm just doing this. I don't know how.
Yeah,
I'm doing it.
yeah,
And so I think you're absolutely right. There has to be a strong motivation. What I think is really interesting about these two women is it's on their minds.
yeah, yeah,
And so that's the piece that I find really interesting
yeah,
for it to be on their mind. Now, maybe it's only on their minds when they're talking to me or dining with me and most of the time I think I am there. No, one of them has another vegan friend. I know that. So it may be that most of the time they're not thinking about it. So it isn't,
yeah.
um,
A more direct, and maybe it's not on their mind, or maybe it's only on their mind in a very surfacey way, because in a way to say I'm just too lazy is and again, I'm speaking generally, I don't know them personally deeply, um, is kind of a way to be able to dismiss it or give it less and less important than it actually has. If you're going to make a change, you have to actually give your moral attention to animals in a way that you take it very, very seriously.
hmm.
I think to just be able to say, well, I'm too lazy. It's kind of like saying, well, I'm too lazy to get up at 5 in the morning and go running. I mean, like whatever. It's like I don't know. It's giving it a lot less weight than you need in order to make that shift. Like you need to take it really
I
more seriously.
agree with you. And again, and that's interesting that you make the, analogy with getting up and running, which does take a lot of energy. I mean, I used to do that. I still exercise, but I don't run.
Yeah,
Um, I guess because there's this consistent um comment to me
yeah,
about how proud they are, or that's the point. So it's almost like there's a yearning,
yeah, yeah,
and yeah,
yeah,
there's a yearning. It's a very to me. Most of the other people in my life who are non-vegan never ever
yeah.
say, I admire you, or I think what you're doing is wonderful, or I wish I could do that. Nobody. And
Have different
so,
defenses against it.
well, and they're just either they don't think about it or they don't admire me. Maybe they think it's great to
But
eat dead animals.
I think there's a possibility that that is another defense. That's just another way to defend against changing. So, I mean,
That's very possible. I
yeah,
mean, I do think when I've had that ribbing that I would get from some people, that to me felt like a defensive
yeah,
posture.
yeah,
With most people, it's more like they don't even comment on it other than, if we're trying to choose a restaurant, somebody might say, well, do they have vegan options? But
right,
that's about as far as they don't ask me why am I or how did it happen, or
right,
they don't demonstrate any interest whatsoever. And in fact, neither of these two people asked me how and why, but just they had a vision of it
right.
that, you were talking about Gandhi, but the vision of something that they forget about me. I'm a channel of it, but something that they see as being a really positive thing to do.
Yes, and yet it feels very intellectual. An intellectual level, they can see that. And maybe you're perceiving something else because you've been with them and you know them. And maybe they are
Mm.
on the cusp of feeling something versus just thinking something. I don't know.
Well, they
But
definitely feel something towards me.
of course, I know that. Yeah, and that I know because I think I do know who you're talking about. But and I think like that's there's that, and then there's this the common path that we came from them, which is meat eating and so on, and that is is normalized, encouraged. It's emotionally and mentally supported at every turn, every day, every minute. You can always find some encouragement and reinforcement for continue to consume animals, right? And then you here offer this little bit of information of a different way, of a way that is, encouraging and supportive of another way of living and another worldview. And I think that might resonate with them on some level. And then the question is, how did it go for us? And that's maybe another conversation, but how does it go um, to them actually feeling not only inspired, but feeling the pain so that they take it so seriously they can't help but change.
Something occurred to me as you were just talking, and I, I have a feeling that maybe what is going on, which I hadn't thought about before, is that they know me. They've known me for years, and they know I'm just an ordinary person.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not Gandhi. You're not Gandhi. I mean, I'm not saying we do really good work and stuff, but I
No,
mean,
no, I'm just an ordinary, and I think they can look at me and say, well, I'm no different than her.
I
She's doing this. Why am I not doing this? Oh, I'm too lazy.
exactly.
And so I think it would be like meeting somebody. I used to be a long distance runner and meeting other people who had done a marathon and thinking to myself, if that person can do it, I can do it.
Yeah, yeah,
Now, it that did take a lot of work,
yeah.
way more work than transitioning to veganism. But I think
The logistics,
that's
the emotional part of going vegan is a lot of work, heavy, hard work. I'm just saying the logistics of it are pretty freaking simple.
no, you're right. The logis and there was for me enormous pain
Yeah,
that occurred when I had my eyes opened and then making that transition. But that pain, well, that pain still is with me.
yes.
Every day I think about what animals are going through. There's
And
not a day that
vegan
goes by.
And to be vegan means that you accept that you're going to feel some pain when you go there, when you think about it, when you talk about it. And we also know that we have to do it. We have to go there. Even, we're reading the book
Mhm.
Omnivore's Deception, right?
Right.
And sometimes when I'm reading it, I'm like, it's heavy, it's hard. And we'll talk about that in another thing. But I'm
Yes.
just saying, sometimes I say, why do I do this? Why am I doing this? There's so much going on in the world
Hmm.
that I'm kind of low level,
Hmm.
completely stressed out, sometimes high level, stressed out, angry, frustrated. Why am I doing this too? Because it's so, so important.
Well, I don't know about you, so I'm going to ask you, but I don't feel like I have a choice.
And that's what I mean. I
Yeah.
feel like this, I have to do it. I have to
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
And I
I,
think for your friends too, like saying I'm lazy, coming up with that explanation, I'm lazy. It's kind of uh, I don't know if it word, but it's kind of like a lighthearted explanation. Like, oh, silly me, I'm just too lazy. Like it kind of dismisses it
hmm.
as I don't need to scratch the surface. I don't need to go further. I don't need to dig deeper
Hmm.
because you know what? I'm just silly. I'm just like Suzanne, you're so much better where this is concerned. You're not, it's kind of allows and again, generalizing here. I'm not talking specifically about specific people, but generalizing here. It could be this avoidance of pain by keeping things on a more surface level.
Hmm.
I'm too lazy to figure out how to eat different, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's a good point what I'm taking in what you're saying and really trying to put myself in the shoes of both of these people and obviously there are millions of people who feel the same way, although
Yeah.
what stood out to me about these two friends was everything I've said, that it's on their minds, and that they have been so complimentary. Well, I'm not sure if there's anything else in particular. I feel like this has helped me anyway to go a little deeper into understanding something that was a little bit perplexing to me. I feel like I understand it better.
Yeah. Yeah, I found it really interesting to think about and wonder like how, why that happens. Yeah, just I think there are a few things that could be going on and a few ways to kind of talk about it more deeply or get them to explore more deeply in them within themselves. 'Cause
Mhm.
it's not about us, it's just about like, well, if they have a little internal conflict going, how do we support that? How do we support them emotionally so that they feel safe, that they can go deeper and feel pain and have a support system to deal with that pain.
So, and um, I mean, those are good thoughts. I'll just add this. I've never gotten the feeling that either of them were looking for my help to go
Right,
deeper.
right.
And which is why, and being a psychologist, I'm pretty tuned into picking up cues and so on.
No, they're
And
not. They're not because they're too lazy. They're not. They're not too lazy. But
so
in
I
their
guess maybe they were accurate. I kept thinking, no,
No,
this
no, no,
can't
I'm
be
not
it.
saying they are too lazy. I'm saying in their minds, they're just too lazy, and that's the explanation. So there's no need
Uh,
to go deeper or further.
I see.
Go
Okay. Okay.
means something else. It means that you can't just have a simple pat explanation. You really need to explore the issue deeply. And I don't even know if that's something they consciously understand that it's kind of like why, and you've said this about another person in your life, that when they start to scratch the surface of the enormous pain and suffering that we human beings cause. That when they say, I don't even look at that or read it, they can't look at the footage, they can't read about it, they can't hear like you talk about it because why? It's too painful. And then
Hmm.
they'll have to change because what happens when it's too painful? Then they'll have to feel compelled to change.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, well, thank you. Thank you for, first of all, for really paying attention to what I was putting out there and being interested enough to come back and say, let's pull this apart a little bit. Let's analyze this a little, because it has helped me to understand perhaps what's going on. And by the way, I have absolutely no judgment about either of them. It was truly just being, the word I kept coming up with was perplexed about what does this actually mean? Because laziness never entered into the picture for me. But as I write about, I know I shouldn't eat sugar, and I do, but it's not because I'm lazy, it's because I'm an addict with sugar. So that was what I was trying to, like, what is this? Anyway, you have helped. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.